Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Well, it's Joffy Noodle Legs here. Welcome to another noodle review. A bit of a different one today. I thought I'd have a little look at a film called The Immigrant, and it stars Charlie Chaplin. Now it's a part of this box set of Charlie Chaplin films. This has got about 10 odd films of his in there. But we're having a look at one today called The Immigrant because it was quite an important film at the time. Now, it's basically about a boat coming, I think, from Europe over to America, the land of promise, um, and like with loads of sort of the Jewish community moving over. And Chaplin is one of the community there that is sort of like moving over with them. Anyway, it starts off on the boat, um, and as you can see, it's a little bit of a rough ride. Now, and then there's a great scene of like in sort of like the galley area of the ship where they're all having sitting down to eat, and it's like the ship's rocking back and forth, and the bowl of food's going from one side, so someone quickly has a thought, goes to the other, someone else has a thought. It's like that. It's really quite funny as well, quite clever. Anyway, this young lady walks in, and straight away our hero Charlie is sort of like captivated with her and falls in love with her, and that's pretty much the story. And this young girl, she's on the boat with her mother, and they end up getting all their sort of money stolen, and their all their stuff. So they're very upset. Anyway, Charlie then goes out and plays a game of cards. Yeah, quite an eventful game of cards. And he ends up winning the money. And so what he does, he ends up putting the money in the pocket of the girl. And then the girl is like, it's kind of strange. The girl is um, then really sort of like, she's really sad and down because they lost the money, but he slips the money in the pocket. And one of the ship crew sees it and thinks that he's actually robbing her, and comes over, and then she finds the money in the pocket. Said, "Oh no, he's put it in there." And so obviously, like, they think, "Okay, cool." So she then really appreciates it, and she sort of falls for him a little bit. And then they're getting close to America, and then comes the controversial bit of the film. Now, Charlie Chaplin got into quite a bit of trouble with that bit, just for that little kick on the bum. A lot of America looked at it as being disrespectful to America and American laws. So it got a bit of a controversial sort of thing about the film there, and it's just the tiniest little thing, and all he did was just kick him on the bum. You know, it's just a joke, but it got significantly to America is frowned upon. But there we go. Anyway, so they end up going to America. Uh, he has got sort of no money, and he's hungry, and he's standing outside a restaurant, and he finds a little bit of money, like a dollar or whatever it is, on the floor. He picks it up and goes in the restaurant, and then he orders all this food, and he accidentally lost the coins falling out of his pocket again in the restaurant, and someone else picks it up. So he's then worrying because it's like, oh my God, can't find my money. And again, there's another sort of controversial bit in the restaurant where it was, he's got no sort of etiquette compared to what the normal sort of like Americans have. So that's quite different. So they were sort of showing that there was no etiquette with the community, the Jewish community almost. And so, like he wasn't eating soup the right way or things like that. Or and so there was a whole sort of like clip of like this guy looking down upon him for like the way he was eating and stuff like that. So again, it was another strange sort of bit there in the film. But eventually he notices that the girl that he met on the boat's in there, and apparently I think her mum's passed away. Anyway, so he offers her to come over, and he tries to buy her dinner, but obviously hasn't got any money, but he offers to buy her food. And there's another guy in there in the restaurant who sees the girl and thinks, oh, she could be like like a model. So he comes over and starts talking to him and offers to pay their dinner and all this sort of thing. And it's like loads of sort of slapstick sort of jokes going on amongst all this, what's going in. And then at the end, it then jumps to like randomly that they go outside and they go to like a registry office to get married. So then the film ends. Yeah, it's not very long. It's probably about 25 minutes long. Most of these movies weren't long back then, but it's there. What did I think of the film? I thought it was really good and very sort of clever. And the controversial bits was like, okay, yeah, I could see why, because it was all new, and to show this sort of thing on film, it was kind of like, okay, that it ruffled a few feathers, if you like, back in the day. But I really liked it. I thought it was really, really cool. What did I think of the film? Well, the transfer is fantastic. It's really, really clean and crisp for its age, and it looks stunning. It really does. And they've added a new soundtrack over the top, which is really cool. Of course, it's black and white and it's silent. It's a silent film, but it's got a nice new soundtrack over it, which is really, really cool. I love Chaplin's persona in it. I think he's got this real sort of screen presence, hasn't he? Like, that was like phenomenal. And one of the sort of villains in the film is like one of his villains that is in quite a few of his films. And again, he's got this real presence. And the girl is very stunning as well for back in that day. And the storyline I really enjoyed. Apparently first of all, it was supposed to have been just like a few minute skit that he thought of, like, finding money and going into a restaurant and not having any manners sort of thing. But it turned out to be more. Then later on he thought, I'm going to add it to like, he's a Jewish guy coming over to there without understanding of the American ways and stuff like that. So it evolved into like a film from a tiny like 2 or 3 minute sketch. So the story of that's really, really cool. And it's a really, really important film. I found it quite important. The negatives of the film, I just think, yeah, it would be nice for a bit longer, but again, it's what it was back in that day. It's not really a negative because that's how the films were made in that day. But yeah, again, the negative of the actual story itself is obviously the ending. Again, it was rushed straight to the end, and I was thinking, oh, we could have had a bit more of a story. I would have rather seen them walk off and him doing his funny Chaplin walk into down the road towards wherever they're going, rather than to the registry office. That would have been my ending, but I'm not a filmmaker. Chaplin is. This was made on his what's the name of the company? It's the Mutual Comedies. Now, back in the day, there were different sort of film companies, and the actors signed contracts with the company, so they'd be signed in with a contract to that company to make a certain amount of films. Now, all those films that he made with Mutual Films are on this set, so I might have a look at some more and maybe put a couple more out there. So, what am I going to do? What am I going to score this? I'm going to score it down as a great watch and put it down as 8 out of 10. You can't really put it any higher just because of it's not a sort of full on sort of film. It's a 25-minute movie, but it deserves that for score for its importance and for actually being really clever and quite funny. So that's my little review of The Immigrant. Have you seen The Immigrant? If you have, put it down below. You know, it's certainly worth checking out if you've not seen it. I really enjoyed the film. I do like Charlie Chaplin. I really, I've got a real soft spot for the old silent movies. I think because I'm massive Laurel and Hardy fans, and most of their really early films were silent. Um, so that's really cool. So that's probably another interest that pulled me into the silent films. But I love Charlie Chaplin and I love Harold Lloyd. I'm not a huge fan of Buster Keaton. Some of his films I thought were good, but I just couldn't um, connect with it. But with Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd and Laurel and Hardy, I had a real sort of big connection with, and so cool. So if you like this review, give it a little like, and if you do like silent movies, have a look back on my channel because I did do a review of the first horror film, which was a silent film. So please check that out as well. Until then, go and check out some other channels. There's Man v Film. Check out his channel, Horror Hands, and the Horror Geek, and Pizzlewell, and RS Designs, Horror in Todge, Sarah of Horror. Please go and check all these channels out, guys. They're really good. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.